All right, well, we're here with singer-songwriter, producer, and audio engineer, but more importantly, one of my best friends, Mr. Dan Swank. How are you doing today,
What's
Dan?
up, dude? How are
Thanks
you?
so much for doing
I'm
this.
I'm I'm great, man. It's a beautiful day here in Nashville, Tennessee. Uh, about 65 degrees and sunny and no clouds. And yeah,
Amazing.
just
If
quarantining real hard. It's great.
if you could survive that tornado and the coronavirus, man, I'm glad that you're
Oh, we can do
doing well.
anything after this,
Look at
baby.
that.
We can do anything. Yeah.
Appreciation. All right, Dan. Well, yeah, thanks for being on the podcast. And this podcast, as you know, is just all about how different people from your average Joes to your music industry pros like yourself have a
Oh, which
different
one? The
ear.
average Joe. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, you're kind of
Cool.
both, I guess, right?
Totally.
Even though
I
you
mean, I
played
have to
college
be.
football, I don't know if you want people to know that or not, but
A brief stint. Yeah.
yeah. Um, let's just get started then. What song, I guess, got you into music? Kind of made you want to start writing and recording?
Well, first off, real quick, I'm excited that you're doing this, and I think this is really exciting to see you take on a new endeavor and go down a new avenue. And I think you're going to be really good at it. And I'm thankful that you had me on here.
Oh, thanks, man.
Um, Anywho, a song that got me into music. As you know, I grew up like a child of pop punk and the Warped Tour world. And I remember really early on, I credit my older sister and older brother to this. I just remember hearing like Blink-182, Enema of the State, and maybe like Good Charlotte, Young and the Hopeless, that Sum 41 record, and
Yeah.
like I just was enamored by that stuff. So like that I always credit that as like the first thing that caught my ear and made me want to get into music. Just being like a 6, 7 year old kid that was obsessed with skateboarding, that music was like the soundtrack for that world and that sport and that hobby. So the two just connected, and yeah, pop punk kid forever, emo forever. Yeah.
What was your first band called?
Oh geez, first band. Well, I was in a couple bands, but the first band that like I ever was responsible for kind of naming. Dude, you know what? I guess I've never named a band.
You
I've
didn't name,
always
what was it? Wait Till
Wait
Friday.
Till Friday. I didn't name
Okay.
that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not an original member.
Oh wow.
Um,
You were the lead singer though.
yeah, but there'd be nowhere without me.
Oh man, that's a
Yeah, no.
common misconception, right? Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, yeah. But yeah, it was Wait Till Friday. Great
Great, man.
high school pop punk band name.
So
Classic.
so then obviously like we met at the Keynote Cafe, I think it was maybe,
Yeah.
but we went to the same producer for both of our first EPs,
Yeah, man.
Daniel Blake, and that might have been like 2013, 2014, and you
Yeah, I
had
think it was 14. Yeah.
you were doing the singer-songwriter thing, but then you really took off and started recording and really helped me develop into my own artistry as well. And just talk a little bit about that. Like, what was that transition like from branching out to writing for other people
Hmm.
slash like producing other people's music, because it's not completely about you anymore at that point.
Right. And I think that was I think you just nailed it on the head. I got burnt out on it being all about me and having to be on stage, as you know, man, doing, as hard as you've worked and as many gigs as you've played, getting up there and playing with nobody but yourself
Mm.
and having to entertain. And not every gig's easy, and sometimes crowds are less receptive. That can like really get challenging.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, we've talked about it many times how hard it is, but
Dude,
I
you
think
play in
that,
front of like 300 people, and then you're in a bar in front of like 10 people the
yeah,
next day, and it's that
bro,
roller
I've been there.
coaster. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it was just that, like, I did really everything I thought that I could for the time to, sell every EP that I invested in. Like, I played enough shows and sold all of those and made money back and like sold out all of my t-shirts. And after that, I was like, do I really want to keep doing this right now? Because I'm burnt out on it. And I had been sort of in a side world obsessing with learning recording software and making demos and chipping away at basically sucking less at recording. And that became like the thing that started driving me. And I was lucky enough to have like a few people early on, including yourself, trust me to record a few things for them. I think I remember one of my first jobs, I charged $30 to produce a song. And I felt like that was the coolest thing in the world. I was like, I just made money recording,
Yeah.
and I don't think I'm good. But yeah, man, I think just that feeling of being burnt out playing shows and having to be the one on stage really made me curious as to what it would be like
But you still
on
love
the other side.
music and you
Oh
want to
man,
find a way to do something with it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically get the creativity out in a different medium just to keep myself happy.
So then, yeah, so you were working with me, Natalie,
Yeah.
Katie, a
Yeah.
bunch of these
Oh
people
geez.
from back in
It
Pittsburgh.
was
And then,
really a solid string of just you guys. Like
yeah,
you were my
and
reliable,
we kept
steady
coming back
people.
and I still want to keep coming back. I got to come down there soon. Um, but so like, then you developed into, I think like when you got to Nashville, you obviously like you got there to work in a studio, but you
Yeah,
wrote for other people as well.
totally.
Um,
Yeah.
like what is that kind of like? Because like I've written songs that I think other people could sing, but never kind of like given up a thought or an idea. Kind of
Yeah.
like so is that something that you want to like pursue more, or I guess this kind of like ties into like what are you doing now as well?
Yeah. I mean, co-writing obviously is a huge part of the culture here, and it's sort of every writer's dream to come here and, get a publishing deal and write songs for a living, because like what cooler day job is there
Mm,
than to write songs? And I think the collaboration factor in Nashville is such a huge thing, and it's so community driven, and people write songs more so just to hang out with their friends and try to create something awesome rather than like trying to get the next country number one. Um, so I think writing here always kind of feels it doesn't suck the soul out of you. People are all here kind of for a good reason, I think. Maybe in other music cities that's not the case, like LA, whatever. I don't know.
uh-oh.
But I've heard in comparison, Nashville is overall a great community. Um, but yeah, man, there's been a few occasions where I'm like, man, that was a really good idea that I just
Mm,
gave away to someone, and now it's theirs. And you kind of have to let go of that. You kind of have to accept that, the fact that your ideas can't always be yours, and sometimes if you give them away to another person, that person might be able to sing it in a more beautiful way than you can, and hopefully affect more people. So it's like, okay, at least I was a part of it, and it
yeah.
doesn't always have to have,
Obviously
my
that
name.
makes you like hear music differently.
Hmm.
That's kind of like what this podcast is about. You said like you grew up with like the pop punk and stuff, but you write for country artists, and you just worked on All Time Low's record.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that, man, because they're still going strong, and they're so connected with their fan base, and
yeah,
what
man.
was the theme behind that? Like, how did that kind of process go?
It was cool, man. We started in Nashville, and at the time I was working at the drummer Ryan Dawson's studio, Track Happy. I'd been there for like a year and a half at that point. And yeah, bro, look at that.
I've been
Track
playing with the
Happy
pick,
pick.
yeah,
Love it.
with the bulldog on my
Um,
back. Oh yeah.
yeah, Cuppy. Um, yeah, man. So I just kind of, I was curious. I knew the band was going to rent the studio out for the month and start writing. And I was lucky enough to be asked to stay around. And I kind of went into it with the mindset of like, okay, I don't know what my role is. I'm not going to try to overstep anyone. Like, these are my heroes and my friends. And I want to be just as happy if I'm here just to clean the toilets as I am getting to play a guitar part or keys part or like contribute a lyric. Like, so I think that whole process was sort of like a everyday balancing act in my head. Like, why am I here? What can I contribute? How is this happening?
Even though
Kind
you're
of,
pretty
kind of
much
that
friends
thing.
with these guys at this
Oh
point,
yeah. At this
which is
point,
which is like a crazy thing. Like, you're still feeling like that, like that
Totally,
little
man.
bit of like, I don't want to mess this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you still feel like the kid a little bit. That
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
mean, everyone knows like that's a they're a pioneer band to me, and they made me want to make music
Yeah.
early on. So it's like pretty crazy. But yeah, so we did a month in Nashville and got a great batch of songs, and then went out to Palm Springs and rented a house. We call it the Marble Mansion out in the desert, and it
Oh
was
man.
like, yeah, it was like out of a movie, man. It was like
Some hangover stuff right there.
totally, yeah. We were there for a month, so every day we had 2 studio setups, one in the living room and one in a closet. Recording in 2020, this is actually how it happened. With this microphone, SM7 was the only microphone used, and most of the time the microphone wasn't even on a stand. So we're talking, the singer Alex just holding the microphone, getting takes, and he's such a pro and is such a beast of a
I was gonna
talent
say, man, he's one of the
that
best live performers I've
he
seen.
nails it, man.
Yeah.
And it shows you it's all about the performance and the character and
Mhm.
less about the expensive recording booth. It's a really cool lesson to learn. But yeah, it was a writing trip. So I think like 14 more songs came out of that trip alone. Um, and it's funny, like if you would isolate some of the vocal tracks in some of those sessions, like you hear like a glass breaking in the back, or like someone jumping in the pool, or like doors creaking, and like the sounds of the house are all throughout that record. And that's a really cool part of it, that it was just literally like 12 good friends in a house for a month
It has so
trying
many
to make
great
something great.
vibes when you listen to it as well. Like I feel
Yeah,
like you
man.
definitely feel that in the record.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's awesome that you have worked your way up from just it being like a passion to like evolving from a singer songwriter to a producer to like writing for a big band. And I mean like I love what you've been doing and the way you've been progressing, and it's just like so amazing to
Thanks,
see.
man.
Like you've
Thank
been
you,
down
man.
there like 3 or 4 years now, but then like you know
Coming up on 3.
but you keep in
Yeah.
touch with like your friends, and you're just like great about that. And
Oh, thanks,
I
man.
mean, Pittsburgh will always
Sometimes
be home.
sometimes I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job at that, so that's nice to hear. Just because it can get so overwhelming with work, and then
Oh
like
man,
sometimes
everybody's busy.
work and
No,
play down here are like nothing else in the world. So
I
it's
think
like,
that's relative to like every profession, man. I think
yeah,
it's. I know what you mean, but you're always a good host when I come down. Um, so
well,
I
thank you.
guess what would like being in Nashville, like how do you hear music differently? Like what you're working on a new project called Egocheck,
Yeah.
and tell me a little bit about that, and how has like being in Nashville maybe shaped that differently, and like how do you hear music differently than you did like when you were up here? Because I know your music's kind of changed from like the Egocheck
Yeah,
thing to the Dan Swank thing.
totally, man. Yeah, I think it's like I just needed some sort of outlet to step away from sessions for other people, and always listening to what the artist wants and what they want to hear, and just like one day a week, or even if it's one night a week, just slip away into a session and try to make something solely because I am trying to make something, and I don't know or really care if it's going to be awesome. It's just I need to kind of scratch that itch, and that's all Egocheck really is. I remember when I first came to Nashville, I had the realization that I wasn't listening to music. I would like purposefully drive home in silence, because I was like, my ears are so dead, and all I've been listening to all day is loud music through speakers and tuning vocals, and I don't want to hear music. And I would go home and I wouldn't work on music. I wouldn't, and I realized I don't even write music anymore. I'm just doing this as a job. And that's where the genesis of the name Ego Check came, was like, you need to check your ego and get back to writing songs. And
Hmm.
even if it's just a voice memo, like get out of the producer mode and just write a song again. So that was the genesis. And then the whole sonic thing behind Ego Check, I think, is just sort of like I made acoustic singer-songwriter music and then learned how to produce pop music. And so it's a way for me to, use my skills as a pop producer, while writing songs as I would if it was just an acoustic.
And is that process kind of like because I know like for me, I talked about it kind of like in the first episode how you know songs that are maybe on the radio, I'm in like a different lane. Like they're peanut butter cookies and I'm sugar cookies. Like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Apples and oranges type thing. And
Yeah.
like, I feel like different music as you get older speaks to you and kind of like, as a singer songwriter with all these tools, like you could write the pop punk stuff, you could
Yeah.
write the like pop stuff, or you could write like the folky like how do you
Totally.
choose what to write? And I think like being true to yourself is what it sounds like, just at all
Totally.
times, is the way that you're going to connect with people.
Yeah, I try to really discipline myself to not build up the track too big anymore. I used to get in this hole of like this I need to add 3 more percussion parts, and then it, you know me.
Real Me
You
had
know how I like
120
that.
tracks, right?
100, yeah, it's, man, some of my sessions back in the day, I'm just like, "Dog, what were you I hope the mixer muted that." Like, what, what are you thinking? But yeah, I try to really be disciplined about just keeping it to like a simple loop and trying to write, because that's what it comes down to, is the song, and all the
Amen.
production tricks will just exhaust you after a while.
And we just live in this world now, I feel like, with like TikTok and everything, where people are listening for like 30 seconds.
Yes.
You got to catch them like quicker than ever. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think that speaks volumes, because like my last record took like a year and a half, and I don't want that to happen for the next one.
Yeah.
I was in the studio maybe like 2 days a week for like 2 weeks at a time, but like I want
And crazy.
a
Yeah.
more organic feel. And it's not, it's just how life happened. Like I had other stuff going on, but like I'm
Yeah.
trying to get better at just producing myself, even because like you got to get music out there faster, but then you want it to be quality too. So it's just weird, like,
Yeah.
connect. Just talking about like the new forms of social media and everything.
Yeah.
What kind of music are you listening to? Like, is it the stuff that you're writing, or is it stuff that, like, do you listen to like jazz?
I'm not
Is it
gonna lie. I listen to my songs quite a bit,
great?
and it's mostly for critiquing. But
I do the same thing.
when I feel like I nailed something, that can sometimes be the thing that I listen to, like, before I go to bed. Like, just let me hear that one more time. And that's a cool feeling to get back to. Like, I feel like everything I was working on, I was proud of, but because I wasn't as close to it, I was like, yeah, that's cool. I hope they like it. Not even thinking, do I like it? So it's nice to be obsessively writing songs really again, and um, enjoy, just listen down one more time before bed. One more time.
No, that's
That
great,
feeling?
man. Because like
Yeah.
when it's not in the world yet, you can kind of have this idea of like a painting. You're like,
Yes.
I need to add more blue, more yellow, or like take
Yes,
away
man.
more, less blue. And it's
Exactly.
it's it's this thing where like you're constantly listening. Because I have
Yeah.
songs that I've transferred from like my phone to like my computer to like edit and stuff, and I'm not even in the
Yeah.
studio with yet. However, like, I talk about it. Like if I'm making dinner, I'm going to play like Italian music or something, like that
Yeah,
kind of
man.
stuff. If you're going to
Totally.
go out to a party, like I'm
Yeah.
going to just be chill. Like,
Yeah. And I don't want that answer to come across as I listen to only my music. That
oh,
is
for sure.
the farthest thing. I'm just going through, obviously been listening to the new Ultimo record like crazy. And then, man, I like just sort of stumbling. Sometimes it's as easy as like seeing someone's Instagram story. And this is to your social media point. There'll be a video with a song attached to it, and I'll be like, what is that? That is so cool. I've never heard of this artist. And like, for example, there's this song Super Lonely by this artist Benny that I heard and it was instantly like, I'm getting that on my
There
phone.
you go.
And yeah, whatever I've most recently added typically becomes what I'll jam. But yeah, man, it's like, to your point about making Italian food and listening to that type of music.
Yeah.
Me and the guys I share a studio with, we've been playing the board game Risk for like the
Okay.
past week, and every time we play, we put on like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, or
Oh man.
like a Hans Zimmer soundtrack, and it's great. Like,
Strengthens the moment. It
yeah,
adds
man.
to the music adds to the moment. Like I
We
feel
don't
like
want to
as a,
listen to pop music while we're playing a board
no,
game,
and it's a singer-songwriter thing to like listen to your own stuff, or like stuff that's even similar. Like I listen to my counterparts' music, like your music, or like people that I know, like Ben Rector and stuff like that. And like
Yeah.
I listen to like get that vibe, but then like when I'm out of work mode, I'm like listening to other. That's okay. That's see, this is why I want to do this. I want to learn about like how musicians think and then how other people think.
Yeah, man, totally.
Awesome. So like when you are listening though, what platform do you use?
I'm an Apple Music dude.
Okay.
I just love Apple everything, and the fact that it's already installed on the iPhone is
Mm,
kind of just like something that I like. I can
yeah.
just dive right into it without. I know Spotify takes 2 seconds to download, and I have Spotify pay for the premium and everything. Like, it's great, and I love Spotify for the song credits that it gives. How you can find who produced or wrote a song within a second. I love how you can see stream counts.
Mm.
I love the way Spotify looks and everything, but for whatever reason, on my phone at least, when I get in the car, it's Apple Music.
Well, I think that's because like our generation grew up with iTunes and iPods and stuff
Yeah,
too,
maybe it's
right?
that.
Like I
Yeah,
think it's just like what we've known kind of thing. And I know for me, I'm usually just like Spotify, but I go on YouTube as well sometimes. I don't know, because I'm constantly thinking like, how can this help another artist or myself
right.
kind of like get more? It's a different mindset, but yeah, that's cool, man. I just got a record player, so like for Christmas.
Sweet.
So I've been listening to like
Oh, you're going
Doobie
extra
Brothers.
hipster. Yeah.
Man, I like Doobie Brothers. Like, who would ever think?
That's cool,
And Michael
man.
McDonald like used to be in Doobie Brothers or something.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
I didn't even know that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
stumbled across this song "Let Go" by this group Frou Frou, and it's just like kind of sonically like you would never expect. I think even me as my friend, you wouldn't hear it and be like, "Oh, Swank would be into that."
right,
But I think it's beautiful, and I spent like 2 days covering it just to
dude.
do it.
I listened to
Like, that's
Bach.
the beauty of quarantine sometimes,
Yeah,
is like I could just find something that I forgot I thought was cool, and maybe I'll cover it because I don't have anything else
I
to
love
do.
that. I go on walks and I listen to
It's
Bach,
great.
JS Bach. Literally, it just like clears my mind.
That's great.
Um. Anyway, I think we covered a lot of stuff. Is there anything else like you want to add or talk about?
Yeah, I have a couple sponsorships I would like to talk about.
All right.
LaCroix, Pamplin. I'm just kidding.
Nike right here. The Pittsburgh Pirates. I miss
Yeah.
baseball, man. Oh, I feel
Oh,
like
dude,
summer is just like coming so close and like we're
I
stuck.
miss everything.
But then I
Yeah.
then I feel guilty because like other people are suffering way worse than we are, and
Yeah, bro.
so. But
I've just tried to, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. I've kind of made an effort to stop checking the news
mm,
feed, and
I stopped months ago,
man, it's just
literally.
like every time I search COVID-19, it seems like something depressing pops up, and I do believe this will all get better, but to have it under a microscope all the time and check in all the time kind of started to bum me out. And
It's
now
rough.
I'm just trying to like stay calm and comfortable and acquainted in what life is now, and I think I'm actually pretty happy.
And music's helping you.
I don't know what I would do without it.
I love that.
Now more than ever, I seriously feel that,
That's
which is
that's
pretty cool. Yeah.
exactly what I want people to hear, and I'm so glad that you're transparent about that. But Dan, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm glad that we got a chance to do this, and I
Yeah,
can't
bro.
wait to see where Egocheck it drops tomorrow, right?
Yeah, song Your Car tomorrow at midnight, actually. Yeah.
April 17th. So
Yeah.
that'll show you when we're recording this.
4.17.20, Your Car, Egocheck. Yeah.
I like that little teaser you had on Instagram there.
Yeah, bro.
That was
My
great.
boy
That little
Dawson
video.
Waters has been killing the
Great.
visuals for me. Yeah,
Great.
he's a genius.
Yeah, we'll check Dan's music out. What is it at Egocheck?
Just follow me at Dan Swank.
At Dan
That's
Swank.
easier. And then
He's
you can find Egocheck if you want
he's a
to
great guy. Go
afterwards.
look at his face because he looks nice too. Don't just listen to him.
I
And
love you, man. You have a
love you too.
great voice for radio.
Thanks, man.
And a great face for pornography.
There you go. Great face for radio.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thank you for doing this. I'm always glad to talk to you, and I love you very much. And
Love you too, man.
we will
Thank you.
be together soon.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
bro.
man. Have a good day.